Hey everyone, Wade Franson back from Hawaii and vacation, fresh and with a quickly receding tan, to have a sneak peek recording with our upcoming guest for episode 124, airing on January 20th. His name is Mark Silk, and he has been active for decades at the intersection of religion, politics, society, and he's Jewish by background, and he has opinions and perspectives that are important and valuable in this day and age where it seems we have a culture war on every imaginable topic. You can barely bring up anything in conversation that somebody doesn't turn into a political item. So, Mark, welcome to the studio. Why is it that this intersection is your focus?
Well, I started out as actually a historian of the Middle Ages, and by hook or by crook, I ended up writing about contemporary American things. And I found that I was very interested in how religion seemed to be becoming more important in American public life, really at the end of the 1970s and the early 1980s. I began working on that question and really sort of applying my background in sort of the history of religion in the West to the American scene at the point at which we were starting to see really the rise of the religious right.
Well, this whole history thing is critical and important, right? We all know the standard soundbite of those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. And when we hear middle age history, we think ancient times. But as a Jewish person, that's just an inflection point in the history of the Jewish people, right? That was a time when suddenly Christianity was reaching a point of challenge, right? So how does that depth of history, both on the Jewish side and the sort of Christian side in the Middle Ages, how does that inform your view of today? And are we making the same mistakes today?
Well, you know, if we were having this conversation a few years ago, I would say we have overcome mistakes. In many ways, the United States, in the last part of the 20th century, became a place very open to religious diversity, not just Christians and Jews, but people of other faiths as well. In the wake of immigration to this country from places like India and so on, you have a variety of faiths that really Americans have accepted. I think we've seen some pulling back from that kind of openness in recent years, and so in that sense, I suppose you could say that some of the ways in which in the Middle Ages, really in the High Middle Ages and later, hostility to those of other faiths became more pronounced as medieval society became sort of more organized and militarized in a coherent way.
Well, and we didn't even talk about Mark's credentials, which are substantial, but tune in on the January 20th show. And we'll dive deep into this topic, and we will explore whether or not we're moving 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or whether there's something more ominous on the horizon, and we see the unfolding of 1984 in Brave New World, books that I was required to read when I was in high school. I don't know about today's youth, but you're not going to want to miss the show with Mark Silk on January 20th, 8 p.m. Central Time on Created in the Image of God. We'll see you there.